thunder, it's starting to rain. And talk a little bit more about the EOS R, which I'm not vlogging on right now. I'm vlogging on my iPhone, which makes complete sense. Oh, we're in the command center today, hanging out in the studio. It's a Tuesday morning, and today is going to be a beautiful 74 degrees. And I'm sitting here going, what should I do today for the channel? What should I work on? And there was one video that I thought I could do today, and it was whether or not the EOS R in 2022 is still a good camera for YouTube. So I'm going to be vlogging with my iPhone today and my EOS R and going through all of the things that frustrate me about the EOS R and all the things that I love about the EOS R, and whether or not for you, someone who's looking at doing YouTube in 2022, or maybe you're looking to upgrade your camera from whatever you have now to something like the EOS R. So why not vlog about the EOS R in 2022? Let's do it. All right, let's get out of here. You might be wondering why I'm vlogging on my iPhone when this is a video about the EOS R. It's just easier. So that's what I'm gonna do. I was thinking about bringing my golf clubs to go to the driving range, but God, do I wanna mess with these? Yeah, you know what? Let's just throw them in. What the hell? So what's the plan for today? The plan is to head down to Archetype and do the first part of this vlog. Have a little cappuccino before lunch. We're gonna head there and talk a little bit more about the EOS R. So I started out my journey with Canon back with the 6D Mark II, and for my production company I bought the C100 Mark II and the C100 Mark I, and I used both of those cameras for all my professional filmmaking. After I got tired of the 6D Mark II and some of the issues that I had with the size of the body, as well as the IPB codec having a really low data rate and not really being able to shoot in 4K the way I wanted to, I decided to upgrade to the EOS R, and I've been using this camera for, gosh, 3+ years now, ever since it first came out, and it's been really great. I've enjoyed it for vlogging and also as a B camera for my professional video work, and pairing the EOS R with the Ninja 5 gets you that upgrade to 10-bit footage, which is really nice. It almost feels like there's two cameras in one when you pair it with the Ninja 5, but that's also the downside, is you have to pair it with an external recorder, which costs extra money, hard drives, all that kind of stuff. Big thing that I love about this camera for 2022 is it's a full frame camera at 1080p. I record a lot of my vlogs from the past in 1080, and even scaled up, it's not too bad when you scale up to 4K, although it is a little bit softer. What's a downside with the EOS R in 2022 is that 4K recording comes with a 1.72 crop. So I'm filming on a 17-40 f4 lens right now at 17 millimeters in 4K, and this is what you get with that crop. It looks pretty good for this, but I really love being able to take advantage of full frame. But a 1.72 crop on 17 millimeters goes to, let's see, twice that is about 34, so it's about a 30 millimeter lens. When I really want to do some wide angle shooting in 4K, I don't really have a great solution in Canon's EF lens lineup. I'd have to go to an EFS lens, and then there's sacrifices to the speed of the lens. They're usually like a 4.5 to an f6 variable aperture, and it's just you know, there's always some kind of compromise, and that's something that can be frustrating for some people when you're thinking about the EOS R for 2022 versus a camera like the R6 or the R5, which is capable of full frame at 4K, but there's a hefty price tag for that. So keep that in mind if you're shopping for a camera in the Canon lineup that might be a good upgrade to your current vlogging setup. Would I use this camera as a first-time vlogger? I don't know. I probably would rely more on my iPhone 13 Pro Max and maybe investing some money into that and vlogging with that, because the microphone's awesome. You've got the wide-angle lens and the regular lens, as well as a telephoto lens, which I really wouldn't use a lot for vlogging. But I have really enjoyed vlogging with the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and sometimes I would just prefer to do that. So just to wrap up that point, full frame at 1080 and a 1.72 crop in 4K, 1.72 crop in 4K in 2022 to me is a big no-no. That's a big boo, a big con, and I'm not a fan, and it's something that has me strongly considering, when things pick up with my channel, upgrading to a different camera that I can use for vlogging, especially when I want my vlogs to be much more cinematic, the footage that I get, shooting myself, all of that stuff. So yeah, let's head down to town, grab some coffee at Archetype, and talk a little bit more about the Canon EOS R. Well, was hoping for a nice quiet spot, but of course they're doing some power washing today, so I don't know if I'll be able to record some of this. Yeah, power washing, great. So another thing I've always loved about the EOS R and all of my Canon cameras, whether it was the cinema operating system or the photography operating system on the camera, I've just always felt like it was really easy and intuitive to use. Sure, there's a few menu items that are kind of buried and more difficult to figure out, but for the most part, I can very quickly get into the menus, make the changes I need, customize the My Menu, and also set up some presets for video and photo that have all the settings that I like for, you know, slow motion, 4K, 1080, all of that. So it's really a more intuitive camera system to use for me. When I had a Sony a6500, I just felt like the menu system was complicated, the terminology that was used wasn't easy to understand, and I was always struggling to go through the menu. But with Canon, it was just always quick and easy, and that's one big reason why I like the EOS R and really any Canon camera for vlogging in 2022. Boy, it's definitely gonna rain, everyone. Got some thunder, some lightning. Let's get into the old truck and head out for some lunch. Freaking delicious. Curry fries and a little doner kebab at Amsterdam and Omaha. If you're ever in Omaha and need a good place to eat, Amsterdam is where it's at, over in Dundee off of 50th Street in Dodge. Definitely check it out. Now I'm fueled up and can go ahead and try to continue getting the rest of this vlog done here in the rain in Omaha. I was not expecting this bad weather, but we're gonna get through it, so let's do it. Vlogging is not panning out the way that I thought it was. I'm over here in Walnut Hill neighborhood of Omaha, and I was coming over to a park to grab another segment of the Canon video, and more lightning, thunder, and torrential rain. So I am a bit stuck right now on how to finish up the rest of this video because there's no place I can go outdoors that is safe from the rain and weather. So it's 2:30 and I've got probably another 2 hours that I can try to get this vlog finished up talking about the EOS R in 2022, and I'm not sure what to do because I can't go anywhere. So yesterday it's thunderstorms and raining out, and today it is clear blue skies. Beautiful weather, 77 degrees out right now, just a little bit warm. Let's go out today, take care of some business with this EOS R video. So what I really love about the EOS R is the ecosystem of accessories. The RF to EF adapter with a drop-in ND filter. It's a little pricey, but it's really great for use in outdoor vlogging situations, especially. That drop-in ND filter is between the lens and the camera body, and it allows you to dial in the ND as needed. So I don't have to be twisting on the camera lens to be able to dial in the ND. And the ND filter is so good that you don't get any vignetting when you're using it like you do with some of the screw-on ND filters, especially the less expensive ones. The other accessory I love, and I made a dedicated video about this earlier last year, is the BRE1 Bluetooth remote. This remote allows you to remote trigger record as well as the shutter function on the camera for photography. I use this all the time, including in situations like this where I don't want to reach over to the camera and press record. I could just push the button and press record. Or when I'm doing long exposure photography or bulb timer photography, I can use that remote to help me take my photographs. Now I will say with the RF to EF adapter, it does come with the ND filter, but in order to not use an ND filter, you need need to buy the clear filter separate, which is $129, and you can only get it through Canon. So that's a big investment if you want to try to adapt your RF mirrorless camera to EF lenses that you already own. So one of the cons with this camera is with the higher data rate recording in 4K especially, you have to purchase the more expensive SD cards. I use the Extreme Pro SanDisk SD cards that are 300 megabytes per second, and those clock in, I think, at about $89.99 for 64 gigabytes. And 64 gigabytes, let me tell you, in 4K on this camera goes really quickly. I think the 128 gigabyte SD card that can handle the 4K data rate is something like $149.99 on Amazon. I'll have links to those below if you want to check them out. But just know that if you're going to get into this system shooting in 4K on your internal SD card, it's going to be an expensive purchase of SD cards. Your old SD cards with slower data rates are not going to work in 4K. Another con for me with this camera system is the lack of options for CanonLog. You can shoot in CanonLog, but there's no CanonLog 2 or CanonLog 3, and that's not terribly unexpected with a camera system like this. This really is a photography camera before video. Video is sort of like a nice bonus if you want to use this camera primarily for photography. CanonLog is great with the boost you get to dynamic range, especially over just the standard shooting modes on the EOS R, but after you've gotten some experience shooting in CanonLog 2 and CanonLog 3 on a camera like a C300 Mark II, which is a cinema camera, it's going to have those formats versus the EOS R, a photography camera, but it's really hard to see what you can do with CanonLog 2 and CanonLog 3 and then go down to CanonLog, especially 8-bit over 10-bit. So a lot of times when I'm grading the vlog stuff I do with the EOS R versus my in-studio stuff with the C300 Mark II, it can get a little frustrating to be making all these compromises with the quality of the footage, especially in dynamic range nightmare situations like you have throughout most of the day between 10 a.m. and maybe 5 p.m. when you're primarily going to be vlogging. The sun's high in the sky, you have harsh sunlight, you wear a hat like mine, you've got a lot of shadow, and then you can have bright backgrounds like the sky, especially on a day like today where there's no cloud cover at all. Now that's not a fault of Canon necessarily, but anytime you're going to be doing shooting like vlog style YouTube videos, the more dynamic range that you have with your footage, the better, especially if you have some expertise in knowing how to color grade the finished product. A couple of quick cons about this camera. I don't like the Mini-HDMI. Again, it's a mirrorless entry-level photography camera that happens to do some pretty nice video, so it's nice that we even have an HDMI port, but I don't love the Mini-HDMI because a full-size HDMI feels like a stronger connection and less likely to break or become disconnected while I'm using it. Do I use the Mini-HDMI while I'm vlogging? Not really, but I do use it when I'm in the studio shooting my videos with the EOS R, and it's a little bit nicer when I pair this with the Small HD Focus 5 or the Ninja to have that full-size HDMI. So Canon really tried to do something different with the touch bar on this camera and ended up not working, and I think they've pretty much abandoned it. I've assigned the touch bar to be the controls for my white balance, and although I really like being able to quickly and easily switch white balance, I'll often hit it accidentally, especially when I'm reaching to behind the camera to see playback or to hit info to double check I'm getting audio levels. And I'll change the white balance inadvertently, and although it doesn't happen terribly often, those few times where it has happened has been a little frustrating because then I'm color correcting the footage to get the proper white balance. And then the other con is they dropped the switch that changed between photo and video. They opted for 2 button pushes instead of just one switch. So you have to hit mode, then info, switch between photo and video, and then make your selection if you want one of your video presets or if you want one of your photo modes, which mostly for me is manual mode. So that's a little bit frustrating to decrease the efficiency of switching between photo and video by making these 2 button pushes and removing the switch that we all had on the 5D Mark III, maybe even the 5D Mark IV, and some of the older Canon DSLR cameras. If you've never shot with one of those cameras before, then you don't know what you're missing out on, so it'll probably be natural to you if you have the EOS R as your first Canon camera. But for those of us who have moved up from the 6D Mark II or 5D Mark III or Mark IV, it's a little annoying to have to hit those buttons to get back and forth between video and photo. Why I don't vlog. The light just is terrible. I've got, of course I have a hat on, so I've got shadow all over my face, but you got this back here, it's just crazy bright. sun is at the middle of the sky, so noon is not a very good time to vlog. And yeah, I just have footage that just kind of drives me nuts. Now, it looks worse on the display than it does when I actually start to edit it, because I'm usually surprised that I've got a little bit more exposure than I think, but that's the kind of deal that you get when you are vlogging in the middle of the day. So let's just real quick take a look at what this crop looks like. This is me at 17 millimeters in 4K with that 1.7.2 crop. Let's pop over to 1080 where this camera shoots in full frame, not with a crop sensor, and you can see what 17 millimeters looks like on a full frame readout. So here you go. This is 17 millimeters. I'm standing maybe one step closer to the camera because you can see how wide this looks and how distorting 17 millimeters is on full frame. So even though I wouldn't want to shoot at a full 17 millimeters while I'm vlogging like this, it is nice to be able to go into something more pleasing like 24 and have a little bit more of a wide lens to play around with when it comes to vlogging. You can see how it factors in when you're actually like holding the camera like you would when you normally vlog. I'm just holding my tripod right now, but I'd normally have this on a little mini tripod or a gorilla pod. And that wide lens really helps to make sure your field of view is enough that, especially if you do what I do, which is a 2:1 aspect ratio on all my YouTube videos, so I have to punch in a little bit, it gives you room to work. Now, this is what I usually have, so I'm shooting in 1080, but I'm at about 30 millimeters, which is what happens in 4K. So it's quite a difference between 17 and 30 millimeters. Again, 17 millimeters in 1080 at full frame versus a 1.72 crop in 4K at what amounts to about 30 millimeters. So a big downside with those smaller, more expensive SD cards is you run out of space pretty quickly. So I'm in the middle of vlogging here at this location by the Bob Carey pedestrian bridge, and I'm out of my 64 gigabyte card. Now, I only have one of them because usually for my business, I'm recording to an external monitor, and that has, I think I've got 3 drives that equate to 750 gigabytes, so I never have to worry about it. So that's why I only got one 64 gig, and they're $90 to $100 a piece. So I'm using my laptop right now to transfer my SD card, then I'll format it and start shooting again. I have a couple things I want to say here at this location, and then I'm going to move on to another location to start wrapping up this video. But, you know, this is one of the things that you have to contend with. If you don't have the money for those high data rate SD cards, you're going to be playing the game of offloading that card in the middle of a shoot to be able to format it and start shooting again. So keep that in mind. Now, another thing that can be difficult is the RF lenses. If you're brand new to Canon and you're purchasing an EOS R, you're either going to need an adapter to use older EF lenses, or you're going to need to buy the RF lenses, and the RF lenses are considerably more expensive than the EF lenses, especially when you factor in image stabilization and all that stuff. There are some less expensive RF lenses coming out. They don't have as many features, but Canon is slowly starting to replace the entire EF lineup with the RF lineup, so you'll definitely want to pay attention to prices on those lenses before you decide to purchase one of the Canon R systems. One thing I really like with this camera is it's pretty light. I'm holding it by the lens right now. So I have the 17-40 f4L lens, and I can hold the lens and then move the camera so I can do more of this vlogging. I actually like it a little bit better than the big gorilla pod being attached, especially because I do a lot of my vlogging on tripod. If I just want to quick do something handheld, I can easily do that with this camera, and it's not too bad for my arm to hold it for 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds. That's it. That's what I've got on the Canon EOS R in 2022 for vlogging with YouTube, making YouTube videos. Again, 3 years of use, I'm happy with it and would recommend it to anybody who's looking to upgrade from a lower camera or even another manufacturer's camera, APS-C sensor, something that's a little less expensive, and looking for something a little bit more versatile, a little bit more cinematic, but with a few trade-offs. Again, that big crop factor and a few other things that are a little frustrating with this camera, but overall still a satisfying purchase and well worth the investment that I made in the camera. If you have any questions about the Canon EOS R, definitely drop it in the comments below. I'd love to answer any questions that you might have, anything that I didn't cover in this video. You can also reach out to me on social. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Matthew T. O'Brien. I want to thank all of you for continuously supporting the channel, for watching my videos, watching my live streams, purchasing my digital products. And it just amazes me that I can spend the day out today shooting hoops, grabbing coffee, vlogging with all of you about the Canon EOS R, and it's my job. It's what I'm doing for a living. It's truly incredible. I have all of you to thank. I truly would not be able to do this without you. I love you all. Thank you so much for being a part of this channel and my life, and I can't wait every day to keep creating content for all of you. But I'm gonna get back on this basketball court. It's a beautiful 77 degrees out right now, and it's feeling good to shoot some hoops. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget, keep chopping that broccoli.